Welcome back, guys. My name is Fernando Herrera and I'm an all-star host on Turo. And today I'm going to be talking whether you should be leasing, financing, or buying your car in cash. But also thank you to our sponsor, thetire but more about them in just a moment. Now, this is one of the most popular questions I get, especially via Instagram or when I'm doing consulting via video call. Now, a great way to help the channel is by smashing that like button and subscribing so that YouTube simply will recommend these types of videos to other people who are really trying to start on the Turo journey. Now, let's just go ahead and start by clearing on the waters for a moment and explaining what's the difference between financing, leasing, and cash buying. Well, when you're considering buying a car, there's three ways you can buy a car, and one of them is through financing. You can finance through a bank and own the vehicle, so the bank will hold a vehicle title under your name until you finish paying for it. The second option is a lease. In other words, the dealership owns the car and you pay a monthly fee. Also, the vehicle title is under the dealership's name. And then the third option would be buying in hard, cold cash. The car is yours and the car title is given to you with your name when you submit it through the DMV. Now, when considering Turo, people always have this question: is it better to finance or is it better to lease? And my answer is always the same. It depends on what you're thinking and doing. So if you're thinking and keeping the vehicle for less than 2 years, then the normal answer is yes. It is more cost effective to lease rather than to finance. However, I say in a normal situation, because right now things are not normal, especially in the supply chain and market conditions just in general, which is why you need to keep watching videos like these to educate and inform yourself of what is the best strategy to approach. So to better illustrate, I have an example for you guys. Let's say that my sister is going to buy a car and she expects to sell the car within 2 years because she's studying and she doesn't know if she's going to be staying here or she's going to be moving out. So she doesn't want to commit herself to maybe a 5-year loan. Now, in a normal market condition, new vehicles depreciate 20% the first year and 10% the year afterwards or the years afterwards. Note that this does depend based on the type of vehicle and whether it's electric car and whether, so let's just stick to a simple example and let's just stay with the average. So let's say that the new car she's buying or she bought or she wants to buy costs $40,000. That means that when 2 years pass, if she finances a car, we would expect the car's value to be $33,120, which is $12,880 less, or 28% of the depreciation. The first year was 20%, and then the second year was a 10% of the remaining balance, and that's why it's 28. Now it's roughly $12,000, right? But if she were to lease the vehicle and expect a payment roughly of around $450 per month, which then you could multiply by 24, it would be a total cost of $10,800 of total payments. So as you can see, by leasing in this scenario, it makes more sense because she would actually save around $2,000 when she gets rid of the vehicle, because lease payments are smaller, finance payments are bigger, and you are hit with a hard depreciation the first years primarily. But now, to further illustrate how it becomes better to finance a car if you plan to keep it longer, I'm gonna run a simulation with you very quick, which is a 3-year forecast. So if my sister were to sell her car within 1 year, financing would have cost her around $9,200, which is a 20% depreciation of the first year. And leasing would have only costed her around $5,520. That would be a $3,600 difference, which in this case, I would recommend her to lease if she plans to keep the car for 1 year. As we already mentioned before, if my sister were to sell the car or get rid of the car within 2 years, then the financing option would cost $12,880. And if she were to finance it, it would cost $10,800 if she were to lease it. In this case, it would still provide her a whopping $2,080 worth of savings. In this scenario, I would still recommend leasing. Now, if my sister were to sell or get rid of the car on the 3rd year, this is where things get interesting, but the total cost of the vehicle financed would be $16,192, and leasing would have cost her $16,560. Having only a difference of $368 between financing and leasing, Now here is where I would have recommended to finance, especially because having ownership of the car would allow you to get maybe a little bit more of that money back once you sell it. Something you can't do when you lease a vehicle. Now, I'm not gonna do a 4 or 5 year scenario because there's no leases for that matter. I mean, most leases are only for 3 years, but keep in mind that if there were to be leases for 5 years, it would absolutely make more sense to just finance a car. Also, do keep in mind that some leases do require you to come in with a deposit. So on average, you could be expecting to come anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 down payment, which again is not uncommon and you should expect, which in that case, you would need to factor in the scenario of financing a vehicle or leasing the vehicle with your deposit. But in short, if you plan to get rid of the vehicle within 1 year or 2 years, maybe even, leasing might just still make more sense. Now, as for Turo, if you're thinking in leasing a vehicle, keep these things in mind. Normally, dealerships allot you 10,000 miles. You can buy more or get less, but keep in mind that a lot of the Turo vehicles that I have right now are getting above 20,000 miles per year. So this is something that you would want to consider or just want to make sure how are you going to be doing or how are you going to be approaching this mileage issue, especially because Turo doesn't pay you very well with mileage overage or like people just using above the allotted miles. Now, I do want to explain the difference between financing and cash buying, which they're very similar. I mean, however, I explain to people asking me this question because a lot of people still ask, should I finance or should I just pay in cash? And I always explain the same thing. It depends on your situation. Will you be putting economy vehicles on Turo or on the platform? If the answer is yes, then I guess it makes more sense for scalability and profitability to just buy vehicles cash. If you're planning on getting more luxury vehicles or newer vehicles, or simply vehicles around $15,000 or above, which in this case, it's most vehicles now, then in that case, I personally feel it's too much to have on a vehicle, you know, $15,000 cash. I'd rather have my leverage somewhere else, you know, get a credit, finance the vehicle and put that money elsewhere where I could get maybe a better return. So in summary, guys, should you lease? The answer is no, unless you plan to return the car within the first year. I mean, if you want to keep it the second year, you're already pushing it. The question now is, should you finance? The answer is yes. But in financing, you're also limited to the amount of cars a bank will approve you for. And finally, should you buy vehicles with cash? I personally think this is still the best way to start Turo if you're serious about growing and starting a fleet eventually. However, I know some people who are very successful that have leveraged their credit. Now, what do you guys think? Let me know if you agree with the things that I'm talking about here. Are there any hosts out there who actually have leased their vehicles? I personally have not leased any one of my vehicles, but I did some research of people who did and the issues that they were going through. So let me know in the comment section below. I'm really interested in seeing what you guys have to say here. Also, to let you know, the sponsor for this video is TireDealer.com. They're a US-based drop shipping company that get tires to you easy, affordable, and with via payments if you want. They accept cryptocurrency and US dollar or anything, but feel free to check them down in the description below. I'll be sure to leave their link in there. Also, I do have my popular text templates, which again, if you're starting on Turo, I have just a pre-written set of text responses for guests when they're checking in, checking out. If you want those, simply go to my website where, you know, I'll have a link in there that will say Turo pre-written text messages, and you can just get them from there. Other than that, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching until the end. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.